friends, I'm Kanchan and you are all are welcome to our program, Likeable Leaders. As you know, we invite leaders and listen their stories so that we can also learn few mantras of success. Today, in our studios, we have a very interesting personality. So before I introduce him to you, I would like to tell little about him. He's a television guy. Well, he started his career in early 90s and played a key role in setting up TV channels. He worked with the biggest brands like Walt Disney, BBC, Ashtak, MTV, to name a few. Currently, he is heading his organization, IMedia International, with an arrangement with Dutch radio giant and coordinates not only television, but radio expansion in India and South Asia. So without wasting any time, I would like to present Amitabh Srivastava. Amitabh, welcome to our show, Likeable Leaders.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to have me over here.
Okay,
Thank you.
So you had been most versatile journey so far. So how all this started, how all this happened?
See, I was very ambitious right from childhood, and I guess the positive proof is that I started my first job at the age of 19 was a positive proof to that. And my father was journalist, so I always wanted to be in media somehow, but I landed up in hospitality in the initial years of my career. And then after spending about 5 to 6 years in hospitality, I thought hotels is just the four walls. I need to get out of it. And hence I got into media. And then from there, the journey started.
Okay, so you have been in the field for 3 decades and witnessed transformation, right? And happened over the years, so you must have seen the media change. So
Yes.
What is your observation and learning from these transitions?
See, when I entered into media, the television industry in India, it was a very nascent stage in mid-90s when there were only 8 to 12 channels. In fact, as channels were growing, the television sets were not capable enough to get more than 12 channels at any given point of time. You used to tune the knob to get more channels. And that is the time when I entered, when there were only hardly 10 to 15 channels. And then we have over 1,000 channels right now. So I've seen a whole path of the evolution of the television industry, not only in India, Asia, but throughout the globe. So and later part of the years, the technology came into existence where it changed the whole ball game altogether. The channel went digital. Then the OTT platform came in. So the whole dynamics of the industry got changed right in front of me, and I was witness to it. And of course, I was taking cue from each development to be at par with the technological changes, so that I shouldn't be left behind. So I guess the more key issue over here was to be in technology, be aware of the whole thing as to how it is progressing and how you can plug in your product that you're selling.
So how did you evolve as leader, professional, along with these changes?
Ma'am, I guess the most important issue is to be a good team leader. So I start with the team building process. It is very important to have trust and faith on your team because they are your eyes and ears.
Yes.
And I was very fortunate to get good bosses who actually treated me like that. So when you get freedom from your bosses and they are behind you and they actually allow you to perform, that gave me a lot of insight as to how to be a good leader. And I was very fortunate. I mean, I'll give you one example of Ashtak. When I had my own team of almost 15 to 18 people, I had almost zero attrition on all throughout 6 years. So that is a good testimony as to how to command your own team. And then as I progress, I always had a good team, and I progress whatever I was doing.
Since you have a so interesting profile, so I want to ask you that choose 3 words that defines you most.
Interesting question. I guess the first word will be ambitious. The second word will be courageous.
Mm-hmm.
and third word will be innovative.
Okay.
Because the third one is the most important one, because if you are not innovative and if you don't think out of the box, you will be one in the crowd. And I always hated to be part of the crowd.
Right. Okay. Since you have I've just gone through your profile and there's a long list of award and achievements. So which three accomplishments you think they are closest to you and why?
I would say first, it wasn't an award, but it was more than award, wherein I was heading marketing, the brand marketing of a channel called Ashtak when it was launched. And the fact that I'm not an MBA, the fact that I haven't gone to the regular college, I did my graduation from correspondence. I was still heading the brand Ashtak, and I was winning award almost every fortnight. And of course, we came with a bang.
Yeah.
And my bosses actually gave me. It was a comment that you proved us wrong that only MBA can head the marketing. So that was the biggest award in its own right to me. And of course, a very same year when we launched Ashtak, I got a Best Distribution Executive Award from Indian Tele Award, which was the only television award at that point of time. Of course, there were many now, but it was a very big honor for me. And of course, we won a lot of awards while I was running the channel. And the channel was doing extremely well when it was launched, and it's still doing very well, despite the fact that when we launched, there were only 5 or 6 channels. Now there are over 100 channels, 100 news channels.
Right.
So the base was so strong that it carried on from that point. And then I got many personal awards, international awards. I've been into many juries of a lot of awards. So that being on the jury is also an award to me, because I enjoy it thoroughly.
Right. I just going through your profile and you were also into some radio award jury, correct? Forum, radio forum award jury. You still there?
Yeah, I've been doing this judging since almost like 9 years continuously now.
Okay.
And I'm basically television professional, and in between, when I started on my own, I
Right.
got into the radio domain, and I was working with the international radio broadcasters,
Right.
which was different from working in Indian radio broadcaster, because in
Right.
India, most of the radio channels are actually thriving on Bollywood music because there's embargo on news and current affairs. But internationally, I've learned so many things, especially on the talk radio programming side. So I got a very good insight, and of course, I had international experience. So that power gave me to be on the jury of that, and I've been doing my job very, very successfully.
We also want to listen more achievements. We have just discussed one achievement of Ashtak. So would you like to tell us more regarding your achievements and how you're happy about that?
I'll start with the three biggest achievements of my life as it happens. So while I was in school, I was an average kid, but during the later part of my studies in the school in 11th and 12th, which is senior secondary, from average student, I became a very studious kind of a child, and I started become first in my class. So that was my first achievement in my own right. A guy who never studied, guy who always had musty with their friends, got involved into the studies so aggressively. So that was my first achievement, and I was shocked myself. The second achievement was when I actually got job in BBC, and of course I was the national manager later part of the stint in BBC. That was a very good thing, because that was a dream job for me. And I was reporting to India and London, so it had a good experience as well. And then, of course, the third was in my corporate life. I joined Walt Disney, which is the biggest media company in the universe, and I was working as a director level in South Asia. So that was another achievement. And then, of course, I launched my own company, which actually worked with the Chinese government during Beijing Olympics. And then I was advisor to the Dutch government, working on the radio domain with the Radio Netherlands worldwide for almost 6 years. And I launched, or I did a lot of good work that it is still a kind of a testimony for many young professionals as to how to do that work.
Okay, we are talking about achievements, but there are failures also, and we learn from the failures, right? So if you have any failures, if you faced any, so how you overcome all these failures, and definitely all failures contribute to the success.
I'll give you a very good example of me working in the Dutch broadcasting company. And they were a global channel, and they hired me as a professional to take care of their Asian um, uh, field as to how to do work in the Asia from a Dutch perspective, and broadcast the channel, which is originating out of Holland to various parts of Asian territory. India, since I'm based in India, was a very big challenge for us, and they had about 3,000 partners across the globe, and the total listenership which was contributing to the Dutch broadcaster was about 200 million. But in India, there was one broadcaster, which was All India Radio, which actually had a listenership of 400 million. So imagine, one hand, they had 3,000 partners in 182 countries, and they were only getting 200 million listeners. Over here, there was only one broadcaster, which was, if it would have come on their fold, would have added another 400 million. So that was the biggest challenge, and I was failing continuously because All India Radio actually never worked with any international broadcasters in the recent past, and they were about 80 years. They did some work with a couple of international broadcasters like BBC and Deutsche Welle, but they never worked with any international channel on a regular basis. That was my biggest challenge, and I was failing continuously. But I think persistence and innovation actually helped me to strike a deal with All India Radio, and I did one program on a fortnightly basis for almost 2 years continuously on science and technology, wherein we were adding stories from the global perspective, and All India Radio was adding stories from the Indian perspective, and we produced the program and it went on air. So that was a very good example of how to fail and then pass, and lead an example for many professionals.
Great, great. Now, what do you think are the essential qualities or factor for a leader's growth?
I think the most important quality that any leader should have is the confidence, the self-confidence. It is very important to have the self-confidence to move further and also move along with the team. And the second factor I would contribute would be innovation, because if you do the regular work, you are just one in the crowd, and I'm sure it's a word which is highly competitive. It's very important to be different and prove yourself as to how you could be different. So that is the most important element that one should have as a leader. And the third important thing is to have a lot of coordination with the people. I guess good networking is the very good example I would like to say. It's very important to have a very good networking across the domain, and of course in any other domain. So that is one quality which help you to grow. If you have a good networking, it's all about networking. You know, you take any field. If you have a good networking, you can do any damn job. So it's all about networking. It's not the domain specific knowledge that you need. All you need is a good networking, and you should know which door to knock to get your work done.
Yeah, correctly, because now world is shrinking.
Yes, it's a global village. I mean,
Okay, so now I would like to ask you, who's your role model and or ideal leader, and why?
So I would say two people in this. First role model I always had and I will always have is my father, who was a great teacher. He was a big journalist and a great father. So he was one who actually will always take my role model status from me, because he taught me the basics of life. And those basics are actually helping me to grow further. He's no more, but I still have his learnings with me. So that is the one person I would always publicly acknowledge. And then secondly, I've been following a lot of leaders on a global platform, and I personally feel Indian Prime Minister Modi is doing great work as far as taking the image of India across the globe. I've been traveling across the globe very many years, and how people used to see Indians in early years and now how people see now, there is a huge difference. That is thanks to the image of India.
Right.
So PM Modi actually added a lot of value to the reputation of India. He's done such a great work to enhance the image of India. I remember when I was in BBC, we used to have an image of a snake charmer and elephants. Those That image has changed drastically, and the kind of respect people have not only in England but across the globe is huge. So he would definitely be one of the role model, and I would like to take certain learnings from his deeds in days to come.
Yes, he's doing quite well in international forums, and he's also trying to do best here also. Now, I would also want to ask you now, do you have any personal goals as an industry leader? Would you like to share with us?
My personal goal was same right from beginning, and it is still, I would say, it has been accomplished. But there's one line that I always add. So my personal goal was to be very, very well known international personality in the domain that I work in. I am working internationally since very many years, but and many people say that you've done great work. You started the same line that I've done great work, but I feel that one should not sit on the old glories that you've done. Um, uh, on top, it is very lonely. So it is very important to sustain the slot that you've got. Because if you think that you've arrived in life, that's the end of it. So you need to be very, very um, innovative to stay on that level. Sustenance is most important thing. And the second thing, as far as my own personal goal is concerned, is to have my company on more international level, wherein people should give example and probably get some more work globally, because I have really struggled hard, and I'm struggling very hard and now as well, to make sure that we have a good image and a good company across the globe.
Well, our best wishes. You may, your dreams may come true very soon.
Thank you.
I would
Thank
also
you.
want to ask you, what is the message you want to give to the aspiring leaders in the industry?
I would say a few things. First, the leaders should always believe in the teamwork, because teamwork is what is going to take you boundaries. Many people I see believe in their individual self. That is a wrong thing. You may get a success, I'm not denying that, but that's a very short lived. But if you take your team along, that's a success guaranteed. That's the first thing. The second thing is uh, when you're doing some work, you need to think slightly different. Uh, it's time when you can't do the regular things. You have to have kind of a innovation, interactivity, and also use technology. Any work that you do, any work today, technology is part of it. So whatever you're thinking, you should always think from a perspective as to how you can use the technology to your benefit to grow further. I would say these are the three elements which are very, very important for aspiring leaders to grow and probably seek heights that they ever imagine.
Well, that was lovely talking to you, and we really learned few tricks for success. And I know it's the one which I take away is hard work. So, but time is
Yeah.
limited, so I just let you go today. So it was nice talking to you. We'll see you. We'll catch up again.
Thank you
Bye.
very much